So disciples and apostles, in the scriptures we often conflate them. It's like, the 12 disciples, the 12 apostles, whatever you call those guys. A disciple literally means student, a learner, one who is learning. And an apostle is one who's sent.
Now, when you say that, and I know where you just were, you had a chance to connect with somebody who very much understands his role as an apostle and a real innovator, and that's our friend Pat Mallon. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, because of the difficulty in connecting flights from Halifax to Pittsburgh, and the fact that Loretto was a 2-hour drive, so I had a bit of layover time.
Right.
And I stayed right in Pittsburgh. On Sunday night, had a great chance to walk around the city, and but on Monday morning, before we drove into the university for these meetings, I had a chance to connect with Pat, and he is definitely very passionate about the call to missionary discipleship, because it's not enough. We're called to make and form disciples, but we've got to help disciples be apostles, missionary disciples. So Pat is a business leader in that community who's very much a missionary disciple himself, and he, with a number of other local people, have formed a group called the Human Formation Coalition, and they're doing fantastic work using some of the resources that we've identified within Divine Renovation Ministry. So using Clifton Strengths Finders, which we use, and also I think that it was not so much a test, but a tool that may not be familiar with everyone, called APEST. And it's a tool that was developed by a pastor called Alan Hirsch, and it's Ephesians 4 based. So the traditional roles of apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, or pastor teacher, but that's where the word APEST comes from. And in the history of the church, we've kind of looked at roles, so who has the office of prophet, or the office of a pastor, or the office of a teacher? Who has the roles,
credentials?
And our traditional way of looking at baptism has been through the lens of the 3 munera, so priest, prophet, king. But these Ephesians 4s, the charisms mentioned in Ephesians 4, have in many ways in our Catholic experience have really been overlooked. And the fact that these giftings, these charisms, reside in the hearts of all the baptized. They're different from an office or a role, and it's only when you activate all of these charisms in the baptized will can any community or a church, a parish, come to life. And so we all usually have about 2 of them that we're really strong in and will kind of dominate, and it opens up a whole world of understanding, because we need all these gifts. We're kind of like apostolic types. We want to go off and
all 3 of us
and do new things, and there are people who are more hardwired to be shepherds, to care for the people that we have. So all of the giftings together bring balance.
Love it.
So Pat is doing great work helping local church leaders and pastors using these tools.
Love it.
And I remember seeing an email from you, Ron. I think you're asking all of the Divine Renovation parishes to go through the APEST.
In preparation for the DR18 conference. And so for the day we have specifically set aside for those that are in the network, we're going to do as an exercise that I think they're going to really enjoy and crack this open a little bit more, because it's a real neat complement to Strength Finders. And again, I love the work that Pat Molyneux and his team are doing to really invest in church leaders to help them understand this. It's another important piece of the puzzle. And
because in Pittsburgh Archdiocese, they're going through a very challenging time right now. They're going through a restructuring similar to the one that we're looking at doing here in the Archdiocese of Halifax, Yarmouth. Very similar numbers, very similar circumstances, and they're fully aware that if you just change structure and nothing else, the restructuring will have to continue. And the key to changing churches from the inside is through the leadership. So let's try to come around the leaders and to help them and give them all the tools that they will need.